Welcome, everybody, to today's open discussion of the workbook lessons in A Course in Miracles. Today, we will start where we left off last week, which is at lesson 58.4. My name is Johanna, and I'm a volunteer with the Foundation for Inner Peace. We usually start our sessions with quieting and centering our minds, followed by a prayer. Settle comfortably in your chair and close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Gently breathe in and out at your own pace. Let any thought that may visit you now pass by. Do not cling to it. Instead, focus on the clear, empty, receptive space that is your mind, that is our mind. This is where we are connected with our source and with each other. This is where the Holy Spirit speaks to us. Rest in that peaceful place a while. Our opening prayer is adapted from lesson 236. Today, I give my mind to the Holy Spirit to employ as He sees fit. Father, my mind is open to your thoughts and closed today to any other thoughts. I rule my mind and I offer it to you. Accept my gift, for it is yours to me. Amen. Now, gently come back to our shared space here on the internet and smile to your fellow travelers on the journey without distance to a goal that has never changed. Welcome back. I'll share screen so you all can see the lesson where we'll start today. 58. Last week, we looked at review lessons 1, 2, and 3, and I'll read the titles of all 5, and then we'll take it from there. The first review lesson is 36. My holiness envelops everything I see. My holiness blesses the world. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. My holiness is my salvation. I am blessed as a son of God. Does any of you, or do any of you would like to share about the 5 lessons as a group? Something perhaps that you thought of in the past week? Okay, well, let's turn to the fourth review lesson. I'll share screen again. And I would like to ask Susan, could you read number 4, please?
Certainly. My holiness is my salvation. Since my holiness saves me from all guilt, recognizing my holiness is recognizing my salvation. It is also recognizing the salvation of the world. Once I have accepted my holiness, nothing can make me afraid. And because I am unafraid, everyone must share in my understanding, which is the gift of God to me and to the world.
Any thoughts that come up for you?
Yes. Let me take this cough drop out of my mouth. Sorry.
Hi, Megan. Megan. Welcome, Megan. We are in lesson 58, number 4, that Susan has just read. Go ahead, Susan.
So this week it's come into my awareness to pay attention to distraction, things that pull me out of holy mind, things that catch my attention and pull me down to the battlefield more, so that I feel more engaged with, I more identify with some of the stuff that's going on rather than being the light, that's shining on it. So what I love about this is the salvation in that very thing, the salvation of staying in the light, and recognizing distraction for what it is, just a function of ego. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Susan. Would anybody like to respond? I think I would like to respond. I'm going to share screen again so we can look at it. Yeah. It says in line 3, it's also recognizing the salvation of the world, which, recognizing my holiness is recognizing my salvation. If you're distracted by things in the world, that's where you are. And how can you save the world if you're not in the world? So it's actually a good thing. And that's what the Holy Spirit does. It takes what the ego has planned or is up to, one of the ego snares, and it turns it around. And so exactly what you think should be happening can be used as fuel for the fire. I just thought I'd add that. Maggie, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you both. I love that. It occurs to me as a helpful practice, Susan was mentioning, just to kind of notice the things that do tend to snag you, because they are the fodder, like Johanna's saying. But yeah, what I guess what was just kind of coming to mind for me when I read this one is just this sense of, I find myself repeatedly reminding myself of this and being relieved by it. It's my salvation in the sense to remember the holiness that I've been promised is what I really am, right? So it seems my mind is frequently tempted. Like one of my things, Susan, that I get snagged into repeatedly, daily, hourly, sometimes minute by minute, is some sense that I've done something wrong or something bad's happening. Just like that's the blanket, right? It falls into all sorts of different categories and specific examples, but the blanket sense is I've done something wrong or something bad is happening or both. And it's this coming back to this place of like, no, my salvation is literally just remembering my holiness. That's it. It's just so simple and it's so relieving. And so that's just what these lines made me think of.
Thank you, Maggie. I think many of us can relate to those sentiments. Would anybody else like to share?
I'd love to respond.
Go ahead.
Okay. Absolutely. Like, of this world, in this, and what I love about being aware of the stickiness is how much lighter I feel when I see it and turn toward back to light. Like it's not me doing that, but when the process of handing it over or saying, oh, look at that with me, will you? There it is, right? And that sense of a lighter sense of being from that transformation of that stickiness to, I don't want to say purity, but it's cleaner somehow, it's lighter. That is then translates to a world that is lighter. Like, yeah. So I don't know. I'm having a hard time articulating, which is kind of strange for me. But I really liked the 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 reminder, because to your point, Maggie, it's really easy to kind of wake up with our eyes closed. So, or to not be awake even though our eyes are, wake up with our eyes closed.
Yeah, you articulate it very well, Susan. Yeah, the other interesting thing I found in this section is the focus on guilt, or guiltlessness. The Son of God is guiltless. Today I was reading in the text some sections that relate to that too. That's really what the whole course is about, the recognition that the Son of God is guiltless, and it holds for myself and it holds for everybody I come into contact with, which ultimately is everybody. And I've read those lines before, but somehow they resonated in a deeper level today. So when I saw it here again, I thought, there you have it again. The guiltlessness, the Son of God is guiltless. And that actually brings in the salvation of the world. So that's a key concept, I think. All right, shall we move on to the next one? Oh, Megan, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was reading in the text that part of being...
Yeah, the sound isn't entirely even.
Okay, testing. Is that better?
Yeah, better.
Okay. I was reading in the course that part of being a student is also teaching, and then also to this point of forgetting where I am. I realize that one of the things is you're not alone. When you're healing, you're not healing alone. So sometimes when I feel alone, or I feel sort of bogged down in these other things, I realize that if I'm not willing to heal myself, I can heal other people. And therefore then I can accept healing myself, because I'm going, wow, I'm not just healing. It's not just doing it for me. I'm doing it for everybody. So it's a really weird backward thing, but eventually you come back to, wait, I deserve it too. It's like, instead of like saying, I'm going to deserve it and then put it out there, you go, well, wait, I believe everybody else deserves it. And then you come back to going, wait, I deserve it too. So that's what it came up with.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's a key concept, yeah. And sometimes it's easier to get to that place if you think of others, right? Yeah, because if you keep on thinking of yourself, you sometimes get all from rabbit hole to rabbit hole, and there's no way out. Yeah. All right. Okay, I'll share screen then again, and we'll look at the last one, number 5. Peter, would you please read?
Yes, I would. I was actually wanting to read this one.
All righty.
I am blessed as a son of God. Herein lies my claim to all good and only good. I am blessed as a son of God. All good things are mine because God intended them for me. I cannot suffer any loss or deprivation or pain because of who I am. My Father supports me, protects me, and directs me in all things. His care for me is infinite and is with me forever. I am eternally blessed as his son.
Go ahead.
So the thing that I'm just going back to lesson 40, which this was the review for. He has some quotes in there. I am blessed as a son of God. I am happy, peaceful, loving, and contented. I am blessed as a son of God. I am calm, quiet, assured, and confident. And this is what in the world of entertainment or television, they talk about counter programming. And so this lesson and the concepts and the ideas are, for me, the counter programming to the ego, my ego, because my ego says I am cursed as a body. And what he's saying here is, no, that's not who you are. That's not what you are. You're blessed as a son of God. So this is always that same question, who do you think you are? Who do I think I am? How do I see myself? Do I see myself as the home of evil, darkness, and sin, as a body that suffers and that can lose, be injured and all of that? Or am I something much greater than that? And so I need, the whole course, it's about thought reversal. It's about counter programming. The ego's got a very compelling narrative. The ego it's very convincing to those of us who think we're bodies. And so I need this on a hourly, sometimes minute by minute basis to counter that, counter programming. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Peter. That's a great term, counter programming. Yeah, I think everybody can relate to what you shared. I'm just looking at all the rectangles to see if there's any hands up. I don't see any. It's a very uplifting paragraph, isn't it? And what do you actually think blessed means? I'm blessed as a son of God. What do you think? How do you understand it, Peter?
So blessed it's a very interesting word, honestly, and I thought a lot about that. What does it mean to bless? And so the way I look at bless is when I bless somebody, I'm giving them my highest good, my best intentions. Because again, most days when I think I'm cursed as a body, I'm cursing everybody else that crosses my path, especially if you cut me off in traffic, or if you're, if you try to jump ahead of me on the checkout line at the grocery store. I'm not giving you my best intentions or my highest wishes. I'm giving you something less than that. And of course, as I see him, I will see myself. And so one situation comes to mind. I have what I consider noisy neighbors. And so when the noise would start with the neighbors, my typical response would be to curse them, literally, sometimes literally, often figuratively curse them. And now when that music comes on, or that leaf blower is going for an hour and a half, for a yard that's this big, I bless them. I send them my blessings and my highest good, my best wishes and my highest intention for them.
Sincerely? Sincerely? Can you do that? Good.
Yeah. But I know I do, because I know it's good for me.
Yeah.
And ultimately I believe it's good for them. And often the noise will stop. It's very interesting. So when the course talks about the power of the mind and how we make what we experience, projection and all of that, when I change the inner program, when I change what, it's an outside picture of an inner condition. Yeah. When I change that inner condition, when I make that shift, the outside world seems to follow. So it's been very interesting to notice that, and to take responsibility. I have to take responsibility for my reactions. If somebody's using their leaf blower for an hour and a half and their yard is only this big, if I'm upset about that, that's because that's what's inside of me. I could just as easily go out there and bring the guy a bottle of water and chat with him and, engage in neighborly behavior instead of cursing him, because I can't imagine why somebody needs to run a leaf blower for an hour and a half when their yard is this big. I'll stop, but you get the idea. It's like, it's what I'm projecting out there. And when I shift that, the outside picture changes.
Yeah. Which, is something we can actually count on. Sometimes right away, and sometimes in the long run, it will change. Your story reminds me of something that happened a couple months ago. My sister Lisette, who's on the call as well, and I myself, we were on the way back from visiting our elder sister in Jerusalem, and we had a delay and a stopover, and we were in this big hall in a huge line, and we were tired, and you get the picture. And Lisette was in a bubble of ignorance. She was just standing there, and I was getting so nervous and more anxious by the minute. And all of a sudden, I remembered the practice I'd been doing prior to that, in the weeks prior to that, is whenever I would remember it, when I met somebody, I would think to them, I bless you, Holy Son of God. Give me your blessing, Holy Son of God. And which would work wonders, in the grocery store or on the road or wherever. And I was ahead of Lisette in the line, and I turned around and I said to her out loud, looking at the hall with this huge hall with all these people with packages and suitcases and whatnot. And I said, give me your blessing, holy sons of God. And we both burst out laughing because it was so funny. And, the hall stayed the same. The line didn't go faster, but, I was in a totally different place. And so was Lisa. We kept chuckling and we couldn't stop. It was delicious. It was really very, very a great moment, a holy instant.
Let me say one other thing. Thank you for that, Johanna. That was beautiful. Yeah. One other thing is, that's the only way the world will change, is when I change my mind about it. There is no other way that the world will change. So until I change my mind about it and give it my highest blessings, my highest wishes, my best intentions, it will not change. It will probably get worse, because I'm usually off in the other direction. So it's not maybe it will change or whatever. That's the only way it can change.
Well, the mistaken thinking that you think it. Sorry.
Well, just let me finish. I'll say, and that's what it means to take responsibility for our experience. Yeah. To recognize that we are cause and not effect, and the world is the effect. Yeah. So the only way to change, if we want to change the world, is to change our mind about it, which of course is what he says: seek not to change the world, choose to change your mind about it.
Exactly. And the cause and effect sequence is very important. I wanted to add that, but you said it yourself, so thank you. All right. Anybody else on lesson 58, the 5 reviews that we've now had? Megan, go ahead.
It got me thinking of, I was reading in the text, and I never thought of it this before, but it said, the kingdom of heaven is you. What else but you did the Creator create? And what else but you is his kingdom? Kingdom is perfectly united and perfectly protected, and the ego will not prevail against it. So what it made me think of is that if you think about, if you can get to the existential part of you are the kingdom, then the world can't change unless you change, because you in essence are the kingdom. The way that works in my head is that if you are the kingdom and your brothers are part of the kingdom as well, what you're really looking for is connectedness, and that you acknowledge them as part of you and part of the kingdom.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Megan. Okay, I'll share screen again, and we can move on to lesson 59. Keith, would you please read first the 5 titles, and then we'll see if anybody would like to share, and then continue after that. Go ahead, 5 titles.
God goes with me wherever I go. God is my strength. Vision is his gift. God is the light in which I see. God is the mind with which I think.
And then 3.
God is my source. I cannot see apart from him.
Thank you. Would anyone like to share about this combination of lessons? I see no hands. So we'll start with the top one. Would you please read the top one, the paragraph, Keith?
Sure. How can I be alone when God always goes with me? How can I be doubtful and unsure of myself when perfect certainty abides in him? How can I be disturbed by anything when he rests in me in absolute peace? How can I suffer when love and joy surround me through him? Let me not cherish illusions about myself. I am perfect because God goes with me wherever I go.
Any thoughts, Keith?
Not at this time, no.
All right. That's a very encouraging prayer, isn't it? Lisette, go ahead. Oh, you're clapping. Okay.
That's a mistake because
You meant to say something? Okay, go ahead.
I'm not that quick with these things. Remember, and this lesson is remembering is making me remember. There was a terrorist aanslag, a terrorist attack on the air on
the airport.
Yeah, on the airport in Belgium, and it was on television in the Netherlands also. It's a few years ago, and we saw all the wreckages and the rampage, and it was terrible to see. And then there was a reporter who asked all people, "How did you manage to get through, and how was it, and so on?" And then he came to a lady who was quite composed, and he said, were you very afraid? And she said, no, because I'm traveling with God.
Right in the middle of the chaos.
And the reporter didn't know what to do, and he just moved the camera away to somebody else.
Yeah,
who would say, yes, I'm very afraid, and so on. And so,
yeah, exactly. That was not what he was expecting.
He was so composed. He said, no, I'm not. I don't have any fears because I'm traveling with God. It was wonderful.
Priceless. Thank you for sharing. Maggie, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's something to aspire to. I mean, I aspire to it. I was reacting to sentence 6, which is, let me not cherish illusions about myself. And just thinking about what that means for me. It seems that there are these things I believe about myself that I don't feel that I cherish them. I feel that I do not like them and I want them to be gone. And yet I seem to cherish them because I'm told that I receive whatever I request. So these beliefs that my running narrative is that I am alone, the exact opposite of what this paragraph is speaking to, that I'm alone and that I'm unlovable and that I'm disconnected and that I'm unworthy. It's like these things I want to say I don't cherish, that I want to rid myself of. But that's what I think of when I read that sentence, is that these are illusions about myself that some part of me is cherishing. It's really reluctant to let go of, because even as I read these words and I want to believe them and I want to feel them, there's a part of me that keeps returning to the exact opposite. So that's just my experience.
Thank you for sharing, Maggie, and for your honesty. And Megan, would you like to respond?
I just, I had the same reaction to that same sentence. And I realized I was talking to my sister, and she said, every time this comes up, you have an issue with this. And my ego reactive mind went, no, I don't. In my head, I'm going, no, I don't. And then I just said, maybe. Because I thought, what's the harm in saying, I don't know, like, I have no idea, let me explore that. But I was really thinking, no, I cherish the illusion that I have no problems with much of anything, however I do. So I thought I would say maybe, and I thought it was a really good thing for me at the time, because I was open to, I don't know, comment, criticism, whatever you want to call it. I just felt really good that I was allowing it to not compromise me in any way. I was just,
Mm.
it didn't compromise my self-identity or my belief in me. I just thought, wow, maybe I am. It was nice though. Nice feeling.
Thank you, Megan. Both you and Maggie describe actually what it is to acknowledge and look at what's going on in your mind, which is really the first step, which is great, because if you don't look and acknowledge what's happening in your mind, you can't go anywhere. So it's the most important first step ever. There's two hands up, Derek and Susan.
I wasn't paying attention. I just put mine up a second ago. Susan, were you ahead of me?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Derek.
Thanks. I was just looking at the word cherish, and I don't know if it's accurate or useful to look at that word differently, but it just popped into my head, is that, I kind of, for whatever big and small bad things have happened to me throughout my life, from extremely traumatizing things to just, people being not loving to me. I know that a lot of the pain of those things got repressed, because I've been doing personal work for 20 years and I've seen some of the repressed stuff come out of me, in group sessions and therapy sessions, crazy amounts of crying and shaking and energy that I never knew was in me, but I've seen it come out of me. And so I'm thinking, if we have this pain, some amount of pain repressed from our consciousness to where we're not consciously aware of it, but it's somewhere, in our minds, it's still in our psyches. It's not conscious, but it's definitely there. Then I'm thinking that all of that stuff that has its reasons for feeling bad and has its retaliations, even like if I was a young child and my dad beat me and I was like, I want to kill him, and that got repressed, it's still in my mind going, I want to kill dad. And so all of these repressed expressions, I'm wondering if I can reinterpret the word cherish as all of these things that want to be seen, they want to express themselves, and that gestalt of all that stuff are these quote unquote illusions about myself. And the very fact that they're sitting there wanting to get out is another way of looking at what he means by cherish them. That doesn't make any sense to me with the word cherish, but that alternative just popped into my head, so I wanted to share it.
Thank you. No, that's very helpful. To me, it is very helpful. Thank you. Who was it again that shared about? Oh, it was Maggie. Would you like to respond, Maggie?
Yeah, I was thinking of raising my hand or not, but I can relate a lot to what Derek is saying. And I guess I'm not sure if what I'm responding to is the core of what Derek was saying, but what I was just really hearing there and reacting to myself is that acknowledgement that those things that possibly have been repressed, I think of like just the subconscious guilt when you say that, Derek. It's like that stuff, as Megan and I were just saying, and Johanna pointed out, just looking at it, just letting it come up is the first step and is very helpful. So as you're talking about just noticing that stuff that's in there, like some parts been kind of like hiding it, like cherishing it, like in this way, where it's just like hidden. We don't look at it. We're not going to do anything with it, right? Or you shouldn't look at that. You should just get that stuff out of here. But to actually just then say, oh gosh, no, this is here. This keeps coming up. This is in my mind, and let's bring it to the light. Let's have a look at it. So I don't know. I don't know if that's exactly what you were saying. I saw a thumbs up from you at one point, but that's what I was reacting to.
Yeah, a thumbs up from Derek. So that's how I understood it too. So he expressed himself well. All right. Susan had her hand up, but she has left her chair. So Megan, go ahead.
Okay, I had sort of some of the same ideas, but I always thought of the word cherished and some of those experiences as like a little box that I put all of the things about the world that I could go back and hate on. And when I wanted to really dive into being ego, I was like, but this Course in Miracles is crap. All my stuff is in that little box says it's not true. And so all the my sisters say stories that you tell yourself, these are all stories in your past. They're all emotions that in a sense you cherish as this brings me back to what I truly would like to believe reality to be versus what the Course is telling me, take responsibility. All those things are in your control to look at differently. So in that way, I realized that they're cherished. But thank you very much. I really appreciated what you both said.
Thank you, Megan. Derek, would you like to respond?
Yeah, those Maggie and Megan just helped me get what I was trying to get. And it's that I cherish my safety, hiding myself from all those painful feelings. I cherish that they're tucked away and I don't have to feel it. So I cherish my safety. And then what Megan just said, I cherish who I think I am as an ego. So it's now making sense to me. So thank you both.
All right, Susan, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to respond, oh boy, to Maggie, like 50 million comments ago. But that universal human feeling of aloneness is the perfect mirror of the ego in action for us. And that because the feeling of aloneness can be scary in and of itself, sometimes it's hard to remember what the genesis is, what is that from, and what it's from is the whole origin of the illusion, right? The whole origin of the illusion is that tiny mad thought, and it's keeping you trapped, that tiny moment that's come and gone that keeps us trapped. And so I love what you said because I can relate to it so deeply. And what I try to do when I'm feeling that way, it's the last thing I want to do. It's the last inclination. But what I try to do is reach out and pat it on its head and say, good for you for trying. Good for you for trying. So I say that to you with deepest love, Maggie, because it is a really sticky, painful feeling. And we all have it. That's why we're here, right? We all succumb to that tiny mad moment or we wouldn't be here. So anyway, thank you for that. And I loved what you said, both Derek and Megan, about the past, because the ego is, I'm going to get tripped up on terminology and that whole ACIM dictionary, but so be gentle with me. But what I'm thinking is how the ego is really, in my mind, like the psyche formed from all these preferences from past experiences, preferences of likes and dislikes based on past experiences, none of which are real, none of which exist anymore. They're not in this moment. And all that is now. So there is this illusory thing created by illusory experiences that drives the bus when we have this like supernatural power of beings of light and love. So I love that the past was brought into this, because I think that's another thing the ego uses in a dramatic fashion to keep us from looking at the now.
Thank you. Maggie, would you like to respond?
Yes, I did want to respond to Susan. Thank you, Susan, so much. Yeah, I do have actually a very conscious experience of that, like aloneness and that fear being completely connected to the tiny mad idea, the original thought. Very, very frightening in my experience when I touch on it. But very, very much just makes sense to me intellectually what's going on there. But I appreciate you, your camaraderie, and saying that you can relate and you understand, and that's what we're all doing here. But the other thing that I did want to just is something you said made me think of this. I think you said you pat it on the head. Yeah. I don't know who said this recently. Maybe it was in this group even. So apologize if I'm repeating things, but someone said recently about how they might just hear their egos offering, right? And then just say to it, okay, thank you, ego. Like that's a thought. That's an idea, right? Like it's not the only one, but that's okay. Yeah, that's an idea. And I do that sometimes. And it is literally the remembering to laugh, right? There's a little kind of like tickle it, like Ken says. So yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Go ahead, Derek.
That was just a laughy face emoji. She tickled it and I laughed.
Okay, good. Susan, would you like to respond?
I just love these conversations. Thank you,
Me too.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. All right. I don't see any hands, so we can move on to the next one. Let's see. Ardith, would you read the second one, please?
I had to unmute myself there.
Yeah,
certainly.
we can hear you.
Okay, good. Number 2, God is my strength. Vision is his gift. Let me not look to my own eyes to see today. Let me be willing to exchange my pitiful illusion of seeing for the vision that is given by God. Christ's vision is his gift, and he has given it to me. Let me call upon this gift today, so that this day may help me to understand eternity.
Any thoughts that come up?
The whole thing. Yeah, I see whenever I read "let me," there's a "let me" and the one, and there's a second "let me," and then there's another "let me." It really, the gift is there. It's up to me. It's a choice, moment by moment. So when I hear another little niggling voice, I stop, ideally, and make that choice over and over until it becomes second nature, really. And I want Christ's vision. I don't care about mine, except when it keeps me from falling down the stairs in a practical sense.
Don't fall down the stairs, no.
I will try not to. Definitely. No, I'm very grateful for Christ's vision. That's what we all strive to realize on a daily basis. I'm pretty sure. Some days I'm good at it. Some days but anyway, we muddle on, because you don't turn away from a gift. You just don't do it.
Yeah, true. But then, of course, vision is his gift. We can know it intellectually, but can we know it experientially? That's, of course, the big question.
I think you might add to that that's the rub.
It's the rub.
It's very true. The rub.
And so how do we learn to accept the gift experientially?
But I don't know. I think it's like anything else. I mean, that any other kind of gift, I suppose. If I'll use a Christmas celebration as an example. little children especially, they love their gifts. Oh, gifts under the tree, run, get pick it up, unwrap it. Yes, no problem. You don't have to do any kind of sales job. That kid has been waiting for it for the night before. I think maybe it's just recentering ourselves when we find ourselves maybe getting a little dull, maybe a little inattentive, and just say, hey, wait just a second, I have this gift. Let me just use it. Let me be grateful for it. I think maybe that's a good thing. An attitude of gratitude, and try to, I think if we cultivate that, I think then the vision becomes clearer to us as we go along. At least that's the way it seems to be with me.
Thank you for that attitude of gratitude. Yeah, and also the image of the kids running to the Christmas presents. I think that's a good image, because we tend to take stuff for granted, or we get so used to looking the other way, and we forget to turn our face towards the light and actually receive the gifts.
Right.
So yeah, attitude of gratitude. I'm going to remember that. Anybody else on this review lesson? Megan, go ahead.
I was just going to add that you don't see kids at Christmas not get the gift. They know it's mine. From that moment forward, once they open it, it is their gift. So I think sometimes we get the gift, we don't claim it. So sometimes I think it's important to.
Your audio sometimes falls away.
Is it really? I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to fix that. Okay, so
you said claim the gift. That's what you said.
But kids never think about, if it's their name's on it, that's their gift. From the moment they have the name on it, it's theirs. So they go to the tree and they get it, and from that moment they claim that gift as it's mine. And for some reason we don't do that. We've gotten this gift and we have not claimed it. Sometimes we claim it, and sometimes we go, but is it really for me? I don't know. Your name was on it. It was given to you, but you still aren't claiming it.
It's true. Yeah, unworthiness perhaps, or hurry or whatever. Yeah, keeps us from. Okay. Yeah. Maggie, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I liked that, Megan, because I see myself doing that. Right, like I see moments where I have these moments where I'm so I call it plugged in or connected, whatever you want to call it. But I have these moments where I feel very inspired and I feel the gift, right? And then it's like I could be just a few moments away from that and just be like, oh, I don't know what that was. Like, oh, maybe that was a fluke, or I don't know what I need to do to make that happen again. Instead of it being like, no, that is always there and it's waiting for me to claim it. And so I just like your connection to the children at Christmas.
Okay, I'll share screen again and we'll continue to the next one. Maggie, would you read, please?
Certainly. Lesson 43, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. I can see what God wants me to see. I cannot see anything else. Beyond his will lie only illusions. It is these I choose when I think I can see apart from him. It is these I choose when I try to see through the body's eyes. Yet the vision of Christ has been given me to replace them. It is through this vision that I choose to see.
Any thoughts, Maggie?
Yeah, for some reason, it was just making me think again of just a moment ago, you were responding to Ardith, I think. And I feel like the thought is leaving me as I'm trying to say it. Oh, you said, how do we claim the gift?
Yeah, how do you make it in your experience? We can know it intellectually, but how do you make the gift a reality in your experience? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. And I was thinking about how, right, like in this paragraph I just read, it's like the vision of Christ has been given me to replace it. It's already here for me, right? But the thing that, when you asked that question to Ardith, the thing that was in my mind and for some reason came back up again just now when I was reading this paragraph is that basically kind of the rules for decision. That section has been a really helpful one to me throughout the years. And just this recognition that anytime I'm feeling anything, any kind of distress at all, that there's really kind of a simple step-by-step process to take myself through. And that's how I try to claim the gift, is to let myself start from the space of, I don't like how I feel right now. I just like how in Rules for Decision, Jesus, and in many points throughout the text and throughout the workbook, really kind of helps direct you in that way. Say, surely you can at least say, I don't like this. And if you can say that much, then maybe you can then say, okay, there's been a gift given to me. Can I stop trying to decide for myself? And can I come back to this space in my mind and choose only with you? And so that to me, I don't know why this paragraph made me think it again just now, but that was what came to mind for me.
Well, maybe I can add to that. I think the rules for decision, I don't like what I'm seeing, and maybe I can see it differently. That's the opening to claiming the gift. So it's a very, and that's why I'm frantically leafing through the book here, the paper book here, to see which chapter that is again. The rules for decision. I think it's 30 or 31, right? Do you know?
I was thinking 29, but let me see. I'm on the web edition, so I'll find it fast. No, it is 30. Yeah. It's right at the
30,
beginning.
the first, yeah, right. The first section in 30. Yeah. So for those listening and thinking, what's she talking about? It's it's a step-by-step process to bring yourself from your wrong-mindedness back to your right-mindedness. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. That was very helpful. Ardith, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm right with Maggie on that, and bringing up the rules for decision. That's really good. Also, to alert ourselves that throughout the whole course, and we know that because we've come against it all the time. Every single question that's asked of us is like a statement's made and it says, "Would you want to do this?" or "Would you not want to do that?" Or, I mean, it's almost inviting us to constantly ask ourselves, are we in the right spot for where we want to be? And so that's a concentrated way to do it, but maybe there's a little shorthand that somebody uses when they get up. I mean, I honestly, I don't think to pull up the rules every time something like this comes up, although I'm glad it's there.
I have a shortcut. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, what is it? Yeah,
Help!
Sure.
Help! It really helps.
Help!
It really helps.
There you go. Yeah,
you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, the shorter the better sometimes, because we could get so. I'm not advocating that we don't study in depth and don't give ourselves over to the Spirit's leading.
I know what you mean.
But that's pretty good. I like that one. Thanks a lot. That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, that's I'm plagiarizing Judy Scotch. She said sometimes just help is enough, and I thought that I'm going to adopt that because that's really very helpful.
If you have to plagiarize somebody, I'm glad it was Judy.
I know.
Thank you.
I know. Yeah. Go ahead, Derek.
I just feel like we have A Course in Miracles by Jesus and we have Help by Johanna or Judy. Pick your path.
Yeah, I'm going to copyright that.
Good deal.
But the thing is that if you can turn it around, then the gifts come automatically. It's not like you then claiming the gift is actually making sure you don't have anything going that's obstructing them from coming into your life. At least that's how I understand what the Course is saying, that it's our job to remove the obstacles to them, to the awareness of love's presence. Go ahead, Ardith.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say, yay. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's right at the very beginning, right in the introduction. If we didn't read another that tells us right there. That is so important. Yeah, thanks for that reminder.
Yeah, because sometimes we tend to think that we have to work at all the good stuff, but we don't.
Yeah.
We have to look We have to look at the black stuff, and then the good stuff is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the claiming, really. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't think we've got time for another lesson. So what I'll do is I will read a closing prayer. And this one is adapted from the final lessons in the workbook. This holy instant would we give to you. Be you in charge, for we would follow you, certain that your direction gives us peace. And if we need a word to help us, he will give it. If we need a thought, that will he also give. And if we need but stillness and a tranquil open mind, these are the gifts we will receive of him. He is in charge by our request, and he will hear and answer us, because he speaks for God, our Father, and his Holy Son. Amen.